6A, 7A East Conference action starts this week. The West Memphis Blue Devils versus the Little Rock Hall Warriors. We'll talk about it next on the Coach Lanny Dauksch Show.
It's the Coach Lanny Dauksch Show, starring Coach Lanny Dauksch as Coach Lanny Dauksch, and featuring Billy Woods as Billy, and Joshua Stark as the producer.
Welcome to the Coach Lanny Dauksch Show. I'm Billy Woods, along with the head coach of the West Memphis Blue Devils, Lanny Dauksch, and we're going to be talking Blue Devil football for the next half hour. And Coach, you come into this week's ball game against Little Rock Hall with a 3-0, sparkling 3-0 record after last week's 26-17 victory over Southside. And Coach, all I have to say about, all the question I have to ask about that, was that worth the trip or what?
Oh, it was worth the trip. It was really a good trip. It was a long trip, but we had a very enjoyable trip. And of course, it's much more enjoyable coming home, relaxing after a victory.
Despite it being 3:30 a.m. when we all got home, right?
It was early morning, and by the time we got everything put up and kids taken home that needed rides, it was getting the wee hours of the morning.
Yeah, you were about ready to see the sunrise, I'm sure. So,
passing dove hunters going out.
That's correct. All right, Coach, you come into this week. We start conference ball games this week against Little Rock Hall at Hamilton Schultz Field. Kickoff is at 7 o'clock, and we're going to have some pregame and post-game and halftime festivities that we'll mention at the end of this program. But, Coach, conference action is always what it's all about for you as far as regular season.
Well, that's the main thing, for sure. You know, you play 3 non-conference games. You like to be successful in them, but you like to play a wide variety of teams, you know, a run team, a pass team, different defensive fronts. And it doesn't always work out that way, but this year it did work out that way. So, you know, you feel like you're prepared then for the main event, which is these last 7 conference games.
Okay, let's go back and turn back the clock a little bit and talk a lot about the victory you had at Southside. Incredible win because, first of all, it's on the road. Second of all, it's against a powerful 7A West Conference team. And third of all, in one state poll, Southside was ranked number 1, and I think in the Associated Press poll, they were ranked number 3. That was probably the biggest, I guess. How does this rank as far as regular season wins? Does it compare to what you've always told me? You love that 05 opener at Little Rock Central, which you won.
Well, that was a good one. And if you remember, just 2 years ago, Pine Bluff came in number 1. And it was even maybe more dramatic simply because we got behind so much at the first of the ball game and were able to inch our way back in and pull out a victory. So there's been some real good wins in Blue Devil history, but it rates right up there with them, there's no doubt.
This serves notice to the rest of the state. I mean, I know you don't want to comment. Be careful about how you comment, but as far as I'm concerned, a victory like that over a West opponent kind of serves notice to the rest of the state.
Well, I think it's always good to win a ball game over a quality opponent, and they are a quality opponent, and there's some notoriety there, some history there. They've got fantastic tradition, high ratings. So, you know, you don't want to say a feather in your cap, but it's kind of nice to win ball games like that.
And you had to come from behind to do it, too.
Well, we did. You know, we played a real good first half. We were behind, but it was still a close ball game. Got some breaks in the second half and played real good in the second half and was able to go ahead and pull it out. You know, very concerned they won their last 2 ball games, you know, in the fourth quarter, being able to come back from a deficit and being able to hold them off and not letting them get in that situation.
Now, you had to make some adjustments on the fly in that game. Your starting quarterback, Cody Frazier, I didn't see it happen, but he hurt his shoulder on the next to last play of the game?
Next to the last play, he threw a completion to Cody Dauksch and got a first down. Of course, we're trying to move the ball. We're running out of time. We call another pass play, and he's rolling his shoulder around. I didn't know how bad it was hurt at the time. We called another pass play. He got sacked, so I really didn't get to see him throw the ball. Then we ran our field goal team out there real quick to try a long field goal. But then at halftime, the trainer was working on him, and I talked to the trainer, and he said, I think we need to be cautious and hold him out this half.
So and that made you make some adjustments on the fly. You put your son, Cody Dauksch, in at quarterback, and I don't know, has he actually taken a snap in a regular season game?
No, he's not played quarterback since 9th grade.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of pressure on him. Now, obviously, he's got football sense, and he knew the plays, but actually to get the ball and then the timing down, I thought things worked out real well.
Now, he moved the club down on at least, I know, 2 drives of significant length. And that tells you right there that the quarterback's got to have some confidence. He's got to grab the attention of the rest of the guys, and he's got to show some leadership skills.
Well, he's been here for 3 years, and I think as well as all of our seniors, not just him, but, there's some leadership there. I was proud of him at halftime. He came up, and said, hey, don't change anything on the game plan just because it's me. He says, I can do whatever we need to do. So we went out there and we was running our regular offense and calling plays just like if another quarterback had been in there. Right. And after we got the snap, everything went real well.
So how is Frazier's shoulder, and what is his availability for this week?
Well, we won't know. We're resting right now. We're in the process of resting, treatment, and we'll know a little bit more towards the end of the week. We're not going to take any chances with it, but if he's able to go, of course, he'll play. But we'll just wait and see how much he progresses over the course of the week.
Was it a bruise, or was it dislocation?
No, it's just a strain in the front of it, kind of like it's sore in there, kind of like when you do bench press, and you're not used to being bench press. You get sore right there in that girdle part, and it's very tender there. And they think it's just a sprain, similar to sprained ankle, but shoulder's a little bit better because you don't have all that weight bearing on it. So we're just going to see how quickly it heals up. And of course, we know he can do everything except throw the ball, but you kind of want your quarterback to be able to do that.
Got to be able to do that, no doubt about it. Coach. The tale is kind of a tale of 2 halves against Southside, and to give you a picture of what happened in each half, you trailed 10-7, I believe, at halftime, correct? And in that, I counted up in that ball game, plays run by your offense in the first half on Southside side of the field in their territory. You ran 7 plays, only 7 plays on their side of the field in the first half. You got a 77-yard touchdown run for your only score in the first half by Nathaniel Henderson. So that wasn't run in their territory. Southside ran 22 plays on your side of the field in the first half. But in the second half, here's what happened. The domination started in the second half. You ran 28 plays. Anytime, they tell me, anytime that you run 30 plays, at least 30 plays in one half of one ball game on the other team's in the other team's side of the field, you should win the ball game. You ran 28 in their territory in the second half. They only ran 4 in your territory second half. Remarkable.
It really is. When you're trying to control the ball, you're a running team, and both of us were running teams now. Both of us capable of throwing, but to have the short end of the field, that's really big. And even when you stall out, you punt the ball down. Now you're putting in a situation of starting at the 5 or 10 yard line with 95, 90 yards to go. That's tough for any team to go that distance. People can do it, but it puts them in a bind. So having the short end of the field was big for us.
No doubt about that. And they came in with the reputation of having this power running game behind that huge offensive line, veteran offensive line. And, of course, they did show signs of it in the first half where I thought that they moved us off the ball, and David Price, their fullback, was gaining, 8, 9 yards at a time. And Julius Jones was not that big a factor, but it was Price mostly who was the big factor. But in the second half, Coach, I can't remember how many yards they got in the second half rushing, but it was extremely very little. I mean, it was like 26 yards rushing or so in the second half. Now, how big a factor was having a healthy Clayton Carpenter at middle linebacker?
Oh, there's no doubt. That was big. I think our offensive line did a good job of holding their own in the second half and not getting pushed back to the linebacker level. They didn't make a lot of plays, but they was able to to hold their ground so the offensive lineman couldn't work out to the next level, and let Trayvon and Clayton and make some plays. As well as our safety, DeJohn White, was sitting back there, and he's reading keys, and he's coming up in the run game, and he made several plays. You think you don't want safety making tackles, but they're like 2 or 3 yard gains. He read his keys correctly, came up, was able to fill those gaps. So, just I can't brag enough on how well our offense did. Our defense did against that powerful offensive line that they have.
Now, Clayton, I understand, of course, this was his first game. He'd been held out the first 2 games against Forest City and Blytheville because of a hamstring injury that he suffered, I guess, in the North Little Rock scrimmage. Is that correct?
Well, no, it was in practice.
It was in
practice.
practice.
In the
Before,
game, no.
He didn't play in that one either, did he?
I think
he did play. He
played
did play
in North Little Rock
yes.
in the next week in practice.
Right.
Strained it.
So having him out there, I noticed that on the sidelines he was constantly being stretched by Nathan, the trainer, your team trainer, and I don't know, how is he still not quite 100%?
Oh, no. Hamstrings, I don't know if you ever get 100% from him. He played real good in the first quarter, and then gradually it tightened up, and Nathan did a great job of stretching him out, one of the offenses on the field. And you could tell playing, I don't think he was 100%, a little bit slower, but obviously it's great to have him out there at 90%.
He got in the backfield once and had a sack.
He did. He ran a stunt, and he got through there, and which is very unusual for their offensive line to miss a stunt, and got through there, and it was a big sack at the time.
Will he be okay, good to go for Friday night?
Well, he's practicing all this week, and everything's going. We're still, being careful,
right.
because those things, you don't want to re-aggravate them. So it's a slow process, but he's being very careful. Nathan's doing a tremendous job of telling him what to do, what not to do, and then continually keeping that thing warm during practice so it doesn't stiffen up on him.
You scored a special teams touchdown, and we'll talk about that because it was a huge momentum shift in the game. Southside took the second half kickoff, and nothing. 3 and out. They're in punt formation. I believe it was David Price at that time who was in punt formation. The ball goes over his, actually went over his head.
No, that was the short one.
That was, okay, so he had the dribbler.
Right.
The little dribbler snapped to him. He couldn't handle it. Jalen Sloan scoops it up, runs 15 yards. That was a huge momentum shift.
It really was. We had Jalen in there, had Cornelius Harper in there, and really a heads-up play, Billy. You don't think of it. Of course, the Razorbacks think about it after the mistake they made last year against Ohio State, but you never fall on a bad punt. You never fall on it because they recovered, it's our ball. We recovered, it's our ball. So they did a great job of not recovering the ball to keep it alive, to keep it going, and then Jalen was able to get his hands on it. Cornelius blocked the punter, and it was easy running the end zone then.
Do you guys, your special teams, set a goal of, hey, we'd like for the season score X number of points or X number of touchdowns?
Well, we want turnovers, and we try to get 3 turnovers a game. And we figure if we can get 3 turnovers a game, get the offense the ball 3 times, it's really going to put us in a good situation. And when you get a turnover and a touchdown off of it, anytime you're in a close ball game, your defense scores the points for you. It is a big boost. And obviously at that time, we're behind 7-3. Now we're behind 10-7. And now we go ahead 14-10, and we never relinquished the lead. So it was very big. Right.
And from there on, they got nothing on offense.
The defense did a tremendous job. Very few first downs.
Yeah. All right, Coach, currently there are 5 teams in our conference that are undefeated. I don't think we've been in that situation before by the start of conference play. Surprise you?
Very much so. You got 5 teams that are undefeated. You've got Jonesboro that have lost a game, but they've been playing some real quality opponents. We know what kind of talent they've got, so the balance in the league may be better than it's been in a long time.
Yeah, I was going to say, one of those teams is not Jonesboro, and they had much ballyhoo before the season started about Zach Brooks returning, Mo Malusian, Luke Ferguson, their kicker, and some other players. And they were supposed to contend, and they obviously they still could, but so far they've taken their lumps early this season.
Right, but they played a very talented Conway team, and of course Fayetteville. With all the talent they have up there, so there's no disgrace in the ball games they've lost.
Now, after watching your team Friday night against Southside overcome a deficit, overcome losing your starting quarterback, and making some shifts in the middle of the game, how would you describe your team's personality at this point in the
Well,
season?
you know, the other night, very determined. Very, very determined. Again, we made some mistakes. We didn't play a perfect ball game, but the determination was always there. And I think it goes back to what we're trying to do. We're trying to build a team. You know, we're not going to rely on one tailback to gain all the yards or one quarterback to throw the ball for 400 or 500 yards, and something happens to him, everybody falls apart. I mean, we were missing a few cogs in there, and everybody just said, hey, you know, we're missing him. That just means we got to play harder. And that's exactly what they did.
That was a very excited bunch of kids when that final horn sounded. They had really, I think they realized what they actually just did, not just win a ball game, but how they had to do it.
I think so, and I think also it goes back to their preparation. I mean, when you pour everything into a week, and let's be honest, you don't get the same mental focus and concentration every week. You want to, and I think Lou Holtz has got the best quote. He says, you never play 2 weeks in a row with the same football team, and you really don't. Things change. But their determination and their preparation and then their performance, they weren't going to let their preparation go to waste. And they went out there and performed, and, you know, it didn't matter if we would have put a 10th grader out there at quarterback, they would have slapped him on the headgear and said, hey, get it to the playmakers and let them make plays.
Right.
And I think it was just a tremendous preparation, tremendous performance. And I'd been proud of them no matter how it came out with the way they played the ball game or prepared. But, of course, you're a lot happier with the victory.
All summer long, and even during the preseason, maybe the first 2 games of the season, I guess your offensive line was the one area of concern, the one area in which you had the least amount of experience.
Right.
Was that their finest moment, the second half?
Well, I think it's the finest moment so far. I hope it wasn't their finest moment, but they did. They really prepared well, and we thought we had a matchup in there that we could take advantage of. Because I thought we were bigger than them. I was hopeful it was more physical. And in the first half, it showed at times, but the second half, I thought it really showed.
How much does a victory like this do for the maturation process of a group like this?
Well, we won't know until we move on. You know, we told them on Monday, we said, hey, I know everybody in here, your backs are sore, you're stiff, and everybody patting you on the back. But, you know, it's great that it ended up like it was. But, guys, now the real thing happens. We start our conference play, and all that other stuff was real nice, and it's good to get patted on the back and bragged on. But, hey, that's history. You know, that's in the history books. It's been shut. We're starting a new chapter, and we've got to prepare again like we did last week or better, and not just sit back and say, look what we did, look what we did, and all of a sudden something jumps up in front of us and we're not prepared for. So, you know, that was their finest moment thus far. I hope it wasn't their finest moment for the season.
Okay, let's talk about Little Rock Hall. For the first time since Little Rock Hall moved into in our conference, they have a winning record. They have not had a winning record. In fact, they're 2-1 coming in the ball game. Right. That matches their win total, and exceeds several win totals going back to, say, 6-7 years ago. Did anybody besides the coaching staff, did that get anybody's attention that aren't coaches? Oh,
I think it should. You know, they've got a new head coach, Ron Stinson. Of course, fine Razorback, if y'all know Razorback history. Coached at Pine Bluff as an assistant for several years.
I remember he played for Pine Bluff.
And right. And he now he's there, and he's instilled some confidence. They're playing so much more harder than they've been in the past. Used to be the first thing that went wrong with them, they fell apart. Well, you know, last week they came from behind to beat a good Arkadelphia team. So they're playing so much harder. And the other thing is he's a good recruiter. He's got a couple of basketball players out there. We know what kind of talent they have. One of them plays corner. He's got 4 interceptions in 3 ball games. Wow. So they not only increase their talent level, but all of them are playing so much more determined. And we know they're doing. I told our kids, hey, you know how we prepared when we was going against number 1 last week? That's how Hall's doing. They're playing the number 1 team in the conference. It's been that way, and they're not over there dreading it. They're excited about the opportunity and we better match that intensity in our preparation.
Well, I was going to ask you, what's the difference for them this time? Well, would it be the confidence that he's instilled in?
There's no doubt. That's the biggest difference, but their talent level's gone up too. Yeah. In the past, they've had running backs and quarterbacks that really tried hard, but their linemen were kind of, you know what I mean? Yeah. You know, they get behind and they say, hey, we're going to save ourselves for this or save ourselves for that. But no, they're playing with a lot more intensity. And if you play with intensity, you always got a chance.
To give you an idea of what the kind of talent level and success or lack of success that Hall has had in the last several years, their personnel, their team, I know the least about their personnel than any other team in the conference. So the one guy I remember from last year, and I'm going to ask you if he's still with them, Aaron Walton. Is he still with them?
Walton's still playing, that's correct.
And is he the quarterback this year? Or?
Right, they got a quarterback, got a talented tailback, few more formations than they've been playing. But Coach Stinson's doing the right thing. They're playing fundamental football. They're not getting out there and trying to throw 60 passes a game or run double reversals. They're lining up and they're running the fullback up the middle. They're running the power plays, their blast plays, and getting back to fundamental football. And I think that's the first step in instilling confidence is being physical. And he's trying to teach them to be physical on both sides of the ball.
Last year at their place, Scott Field, it just fell apart for them right off the bat. I mean, a couple of turnovers, and on those turnovers, we scored touchdowns off those turnovers, and it was over by the first 4 or 5 minutes of the ball game. They looked very disorganized then. How much has that gotten better this year under Stinson?
It's completely changed. I mean, they're getting people on and off the field, and like I said, they're playing harder, and like you said, more organized. And just like last week, they're behind in the fourth quarter. Well, a Hall team in the past, it was over, and they come back and score 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter and win the ball game.
How hard is it to bring a program that is basically, it is noted for one thing, and that's basketball? They play no other sports at any high level. How tough is it to grab a program like that and say, okay, what's the first thing we've got to do in our process of getting this up there? What is that?
Well, it's tough. Now, they have an outstanding track program, too, and they've got some track athletes out there on the field. But it's very difficult that first year, and they've made tremendous. Now, as time goes on, you add to that a little bit because those younger guys coming in there, all they know is you, and they're going to believe you. The older guys, it's harder to win over. But, obviously, they're doing a good job already, and I think if Coach Stinson stays there, you'll see a gradual change. They'll be one of the competitors.
Are they better offensively or defensively at this point?
I think they're better offensively. I think their offensive scoring points, they're playing more determined. Defensively is not bad, obviously, but they're giving up some points. But, again, the sense of toughness, I think, more than anything else, you see that looking at them on film. So
that was one of the first things I'm sure that you hit your players with this week is, look, this is not the same Hall program we've been playing, right?
That's exactly right. And like Coach Morris said since he's been coaching, says, a lot of times we get on the field, they're not the enemy. The Blue Devils are.
Right.
If you beat yourself, you don't have a chance. Don't beat yourself. Do what you're supposed to do, and it really doesn't matter what they're doing if you're doing what you're supposed to do.
Okay. Is there going to be an issue this week of possibly looking ahead one week? Is that something that you've thought about? Because the next game after this is the Marion game.
Well, I certainly hope not. I know the coaches aren't, and hopefully the players aren't either because, when you get in the conference, if you look ahead, you're going to slip up. So hopefully we're focusing completely 100% on Little Rock Hall, and then the next week we'll get, 7 days to focus on and keep going down the line.
I'm at the Southside game Friday night, and I'm receiving text messages from several people who are at the Marion game. They're giving me the score updates by the minute, and I'm thinking
by the minute.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm thinking Coach Irving Clay has got his team out on the field, and they're shooting threes and breakaway dunks and everything. And I could not believe. What was your reaction when you saw that score?
Well, it was just amazing. Of course, Greene County Tech throws the ball real well. They've got an experienced quarterback, and, you can hit some spots in there and score some points. Didn't surprise me about Marion scoring points because they're very capable of scoring a lot of points. In fact, I don't think they scored over 80 points and didn't complete a pass.
Yeah.
But, it did surprise me about Greene County Tech, but any time that a passing team gets hot and the quarterback starts hitting those small windows, the receivers aren't dropping the ball, a lot of things can happen good for them.
Okay, Coach, let's go to Billy Wants to Know, this portion of the program where we sometimes delve away from football, or Blue Devil football. The first one is, as of the taping of this show, the St. Louis Cardinals are 2.5 games out of the wild card race. Atlanta has a 2.5 game lead over the Cardinals. I'm watching the game, and we're taping this show. I'm watching the game on a Monday night, and the Cardinals eke out a victory over the first place, the great Philadelphia Philly Ball Club, and that was tough to do. And then we're watching the Atlanta Braves. Okay, the Braves take a 5-4 lead in the bottom of the ninth inning against the Florida Marlins, and Florida has a guy on first base, and they're 1 out away from victory, and they give up a walk-off home run. As I'm watching the Cardinal telecast, the postgame, Tony La Russa is giving his postgame interview. And Tony, win, lose, or draw, Tony is like hacked off. It doesn't matter. His pitcher can throw a perfect game, and he's still like this. You know, he's got the look on it. And you can see that he is really just enjoying his team. And all of a sudden, you can see him looking at a monitor, a TV monitor, and he sees that home run that Florida hits. And he's like this. Oh my goodness. So, Coach, being a Cardinal fan, you're a Cardinal fan, I'm a Cardinal fan. We do this, right? What chance do you give the Cardinals the rest of the way?
Well, you know, it's great to have a chance, Billy.
Got that
You know,
right.
in baseball, unlike probably any other sport, to make it to the postseason, where they eliminate a lot of teams, it's not like basketball and football where nearly half the teams get to go postseason. I mean, you've got to be good, and you've got to be lucky. And of course, any postseason, the big thing is getting in, because once you get in, anything can happen. But it's great for them to actually be playing for something this time of year, because we thought, you know, a couple weeks ago,
We gave up on them, didn't we?
all they're going to be doing is bringing in rookies, trying them out, you know, have another spring training. You
Well,
know?
it was going to be that type of deal where you give the kids a look. In the last few weeks, 26 days ago, the Cardinals were 10.5 games out of that wild card race.
Eke their
It's
way back
unbelievable.
into it. Outstanding.
All right. Second question, Coach. Our old buddy, Paul McCartney of the Beatles. We're both Beatles fans. Paul is going to marry his third wife for Paul McCartney, Nancy Shevell. They will be married in a few days. Does it last for good?
Well, you know, the first one couldn't have been better. I mean,
It was.
lifelong marriage, great friends.
Linda was good.
I think I heard one time that they had not spent a night apart the whole time they was married, no
That's
matter where they was at, they was together. Number 2 didn't work out quite as well,
Not good.
and wish him all the luck wrong with number 3.
He married he robbed the cradle with Heather Mills. She was in her 30s. And this woman, I believe, Nancy Shevell, is in her 50s, closer to Paul McCartney's age of 69. So maybe that's a good omen for Paul. Lastly, and we mentioned this early in the show, a lot of things happening at the Blue Devil game this week for you fans who are going to be there, and we all want you to be there. First of all, it's a Comcast game. It's going to be on Comcast, tape delayed on Saturdays and Sundays. It will be also honoring Ronald Reagan for his 100th birthday. There will be a special coin flip at midfield. Mayor Bill Johnson will be at midfield to flip the coin. And also we'll have the Grizzlies, the Memphis Grizzlies girls will be there at the ball game in their skivvies, I might add. And the University of Central Arkansas band will be making an appearance. They will perform at halftime. They will perform at halftime after the Blue Devil band. And they're going to be playing at the Arkansas State UCA game in Jonesboro the next day. So out of all those, and I know you're not going to be able to see the Grizzlies girls, hopefully. You're not going to be able to see the UCA band for sure. And I'm not sure you'll see the coin flip. But out of all those, which one would you like to see?
I think Mayor Johnson, you know, on the coin flip.
I would love that. All right, go. That's re-election time for Bill Johnson. All right.
No, I tell you what, it's great for our fans. Hope we have a good turnout since we are going to be on TV. It's delayed broadcast, but we've always had a good showing there and a lot of fan involvement where people just don't come out to visit. They're there to watch the football game and get involved in it. UCA's band, boy, it's great that they're coming over there. Grizzly girls, I mean,
college atmosphere.
Big time college atmosphere. That's exactly right.
So we want to see a big crowd out for this ball game. 7 o'clock kickoff. The Blue Devils' second home game of the season. It starts the conference play. And Coach, we wish you luck this week. And we'll see you guys next week on the Coach Lanny Dauksch Show.